Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Renee Box Young. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, showing your support, tuning into live sessions, collaborating with me. Definitely tuning into the premieres, watching the premieres in real time, definitely commenting in the comment sections of the videos, subscribers since day one, recent subscribers. Renee Box Young is simply a platform where we simply discuss, critique, analyze, and simply talk about the sport of boxing in a level-headed, mature fashion, definitely, and I really appreciate you all. You guys are awesome, and I want to talk about this, man. Dana White with his choice wording once again, right? Concerning this whole, pro boxing UFC mix. Let's get right to it. I want to show you, a link in the description, man, boxingscene.com, etc., etc. It says here, UFC's White on Jake Paul. Dana White, okay? Why don't you go fight a freaking, you know what that means, boxer? I don't know if it's one thing or another, what I'm saying? I don't know if it's, before we get, into the article and what, Dana White said in the context of that phrase or whatever, right? Of that question. I don't know if Dana White's jealous. I don't know if he's angry. I don't know what it is, what I'm saying? But it looks like he wants to take action. Now, may I say this, that I know that this is all controversial. I've posted videos about this, way back when it was Logan Paul versus KSI 1, in the lead up to that or what have you. How, people in the boxing, sport of boxing, it's like, for example, Oscar De La Hoya came out and, talked against it. This whole thing that they were, planning to do, which opened up the door to all this that we're seeing now. I think, I reiterate, I think one of the things and events that has catapulted all this, it was way back with Floyd Mayweather and McGregor. But my point in saying this is that, KSI, Logan Paul won. People came out and spoke against it. Names such as, Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor. I got the video there and my, videos, plural, and my channel. You can check it out. It's there. I think I can leave one of them at the end of this video, okay? Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, several people have spoken out against this, and I'm talking about, pro fighters, pro boxers with reputable, respected names. And when it comes to sport of boxing, Oscar De La Hoya, I know it's controversial there, but as far as, his trajectory and his perspective on the sport of boxing, because he was a pro fighter, he's a legend, man, as far as pro boxing is concerned, not as a promoter, but as a pro boxer, you know what I'm saying? So I respect his opinion to a certain degree, but now we know years later, he's coming in the mix with Triller and, but it is what it is, we can take it like that. That's what I'm trying to say here. Dana White probably speaks from that perspective as like, what? Stop messing with my UFC guys. Stop messing with it. Go do, if you're doing, like, we can take it like that, but we're going to get more in depth with what he's saying. But, face value, we can take it as Dana White saying, hey, if you're in pro boxing, mess with pro boxing. Stop messing with, doing this whole crossover UFC. You see what I'm saying? This whole crossover with UFC and pro boxing. Stop it. Go find some real pro boxers and stop messing around. Or maybe he's just jealous. Or maybe, maybe it can be that, he's pulling at UFC fighters or what have you. And they're making more money over on this side rather than in UFC, making him look bad. It can be several things, but let's continue. Excuse me. So it says right here, UFC President Dana White has grown tired of Jake Paul approaching numerous UFC fighters, baiting them to face him in a boxing match on Triller. So the thing here is, like, I understand to a certain degree, Dana White's perspective, because it's like, Dana White, he has a company, what have you, excuse me, over these fighters, directing their careers or whatever. And you have an outside element intruding, you see what I'm saying? Intruding into Dana White's realm of profession, of expertise and enterprise. And it seems like you have, see what I'm saying? So I understand it from that point in the business aspect. You see what I'm saying? So let's continue here. This past Saturday, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. You already know what happened. Okay, so White would strongly advise him, okay, here we go, to stay away from the UFC's roster and redirect his focus to an actual pro boxer. So, because, it just affirms here that Paul, was trading words with UFC names. He wants to face Conor McGregor next. And White's like, you know what? Hey, you're getting a little bit too much into this, buddy. Go do your pro boxing stuff. Stay away from my fighters. And it continues. Look at this. He cautions that a legal battle could erupt if Paul and his handlers continue to approach UFC fighters. Now, that's where it can get kind of sensitive now, you see? Jake Paul, I've said it before in live sessions and what have you, what I'm saying? So if anybody is listening, new listeners, go ahead and subscribe here, man. We talk about it all, what I'm saying? I love it when it comes to the sport of boxing, so... this is the platform for you if you love the sport of boxing. So we talked about this before, how, that this is just Jake Paul taking advantage of pro boxing, going for the bag, and he's taking advantage and he's profiting off of it, and it looks like it may get kind of sensitive. Now I don't doubt. Because money is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Money makes the machine, pump. It keeps the ball rolling. It keeps the wheels turning. You know what I'm saying? So if it were to be like this, I'm sure Dana White would be quiet about it. I'm sure he would, and I have my reasons why. I've talked about this before. Because okay, fine. Quick example. Remember when McGregor did that whole vandalism thing? Did that whole vandalism thing against a bus in a stadium or whatever against another, retaliating or whatever against another UFC guy, whatever. And he had his whole, gang with him and, just did something stupid and, attacking a bus or whatever. And shortly after that, Dana White comes out. This is disgusting, and and he was contemplating not having McGregor fight anymore in the UFC. Along those words, he was, kind of contemplating it. But I put, at that time, I don't remember if I was creating much content on my channel, but I posted, I have it there, it's there in one of the interviews or whatever, one of the videos. I put there in the comment section of that video of him saying those things. Oh, this is disgusting, and Conor McGregor, he probably won't fight in the UFC anymore or whatever. I said, yeah, right. Money is what it is. It's about money. McGregor makes a lot of money for Dana White, and he's not gonna, excommunicate McGregor from UFC. Of course not. That's not gonna happen. And surely enough, shortly after, he's back in UFC or whatever. So it's just. So in this case, I wouldn't doubt that. Obviously Dana White talks the talk right now, but. If Jake Paul were to say, hey, work out a deal for Dana White, it's all about money. It's all about money. Come on now, let's be real. I don't buy Dana White's words and, I'm going to do a lawsuit and, this could be, legal action could be taken. If Jake Paul were to say, in his next fight, hey, I want to fight McGregor, Dana White, you take 30% of the purse or whatever the heck, right? The pay-per-view buys. You can, put a little money in your bank account, buddy. Dana would be like, oh, okay, hey, thanks, man. Yeah. I'm always positive, man. Come on now. Let's when you go deeper into that, that's how this stuff works, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, let's be realistic. That's just what I think, okay? That's what I think, and I'm almost positive it's like positive. It's like that. So let's continue. He said he cautions that a legal battle could erupt if Paul and his handlers, continue to approach UFC fighters. So. Then he says, why don't you go fight a fighter? Why don't you go fight a bleeping boxer? You see what that means. What the freak do these... Okay, I keep it clean, y'all know. Do these guys... What the heck do these guys keep talking to UFC guys for? I'm going to have to slap them with another bleeping legal letter. These bleeping idiots. Go talk to bleeping boxers. What are you doing? Dana White's funny, man. He just tells it like it is, man. He's a funny guy. But hey, all due respect to Dana, man. He ain't playing games. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. I think that if they were to, give him a nice, hefty check, he wouldn't be saying this. That's just my humble opinion. He told that to Yahoo Sports. So he says White is not in favor of seeing YouTubers compete in boxing matches, but he believes Paul has been able to exploit a certain demographic of fan, of course. He continues to say, quote, boxing continues to go like this. Points his hands. Okay, whatever. This guy is playing this thing perfectly, and boxing's in such a bad place. He said that before, and I made videos about that. And then he continues to say, they're doing a really good job at sucking in people to buy into this thing. Good for him. Right. And he continues to say, so he denied the whole thing when Snoop Dogg said, where's my money? Where's my money? Yeah, you know what, that thing. So he denies that, whatever. So, that's like his approach. And he's like, man, what are these guys you doing messing around my guys? I'm tired of this. Get away from me, So, but like I said, man, I kind of think that, if they were to present a hefty check to Dana White for each of these fights of UFC fighters transitioning over to pro boxing, and they were to give Dana White a nice check and percentage, I think he wouldn't be saying these kinds of things. But who knows, right? It can be one of two things, like I said at the beginning of this video. It can be just because of zeal, and he wants boxing to be respected, which I kind of doubt it's like that. But that can be another point. That can be why Dana White's saying these things. Like, it can be his zeal for the sport of boxing, because he has expressed these things of this nature concerning the sport of boxing and how it's being ruined. And I've made videos about it, about some of his things he has said. And even getting into the sport of boxing and quote unquote fixing it up or something like that. So, I mean, it can be he's speaking from that perspective. You see what I'm saying? His pure zeal, and he doesn't want boxing to be destroyed or filtered, watered down as it is to the extent of these events that we're seeing with these guys fighting, with these characters fighting or what have you. Or it can be a money thing. You see what I'm saying? I incline more to it being the money thing, because Dana White, he's a really successful businessman, and where he sees money, being directed, away from UFC with UFC fighters. I mean, that's that's the problem. And I think Dana White is possibly speaking, I lean towards that Dana White is speaking more from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what Jake Paul responds. He probably will, he probably won't, who knows, right? But I just want to make this video to show what Dana White's saying, you know what I'm saying? And who knows what he'll do. Who knows? Like, if he does take legal action, it's going to be big bucks, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be big bucks when it comes to Dana White. You already know, man. I mean, he has, I'm sure, top-notch lawyers and people, so who knows, man? Jake Paul has to be careful. If he's really about that, you know what I'm saying, Dana White's serious about it, then, Jake Paul has to be careful, and he has to know what he's doing, you know what I'm saying? And obviously Jake Paul, he's making a lot of money, so I'm sure he has his lawyers or whatever, legal team, blah, 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 right? But we'll see what happens, man. It's just interesting, and I wanted to talk about this, you know what I'm saying? Definitely. It would be nice, and let me get back to what I was saying at the beginning of this video. Like, I mean, it's a controversial topic, you know what I'm saying? It would be nice to know if it were the case that if Dana White is speaking from that zealous perspective, saying, hey, you got to respect boxing, Jake Paul. Go fight real boxers. We want to see you fight real boxers. I don't think it's like that, but it would be nice if you were speaking from that perspective. However, a lot of people are speaking from that perspective. Now, if you translate it and apply it to the general boxing community, a lot of people are speaking from that perspective. It seems like to a certain extent, Dana White is being kind of a voice for that community. That percentage of community who thinks, you know what, Jake Paul, stop playing with the sport of boxing, man. I recently talked about it in my recent live about Canelo coming out speaking against what Jake Paul's doing and disrespecting the sport. Other names out there have said it, you know what I'm saying? So it's controversial because a lot of people think that Jake Paul, what are you doing? However, it's been known that those who go deep into, pro boxers' records and their resumes, when it comes to when they started their careers in pro boxing, they fought guys who are very, very questionable. And you think, like, who is this guy? And how did he get into pro boxing? Why is he fighting? And, you know, this pro boxer fought him. So it's controversial because you compare that to what Jake Paul's doing. And it's like, hey, Jake Paul's doing the same. He's doing the same. And that's what some people say who really go into the resumes. And we got to take that. Hey, we got to take that into consideration too, though. Let's be real in this. Let's be factual. Jake Paul's doing what a lot of pro boxers do when they enter into pro boxing with their first few fights, or with their first 10 fights, or, you know, 5 fights or 15 fights, what have you. Where fighters have more losses than victories. You see what I mean? So it's a controversial, but however, when you want to go deeper though, that's where we see, okay, we have a point, or a percentage of the boxing community has a good point, because we're talking about boxers who have fought in amateurs, and, you know, since they were kids, they were boxing. And we have Jake Paul just jumping in the mix and, you know, just profiting off of it. All of a sudden, pro boxer out of nowhere, and that's where we understand it. You know, and then there's another part of the community that says, hey, just bringing entertainment for the sport of boxing, and, you know, it's great for the sport and it's pulling in people. I just recently talked about it in what Regis Prograis broke down, and I made a video on that too. So, I mean, there are two sides to all this. So we'll see, man, if Dana White's serious about it. You know what I'm saying? If he's really going to do something, if he really, takes legal action, man. So Jake Paul got to watch out, man. These guys got to watch out what they're doing. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, this thing's going to continue, and I've said it a long time ago when this whole Jake Paul KSI stuff was surging. I said, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I said it in that video when this all started. I made a video on it. I said, it looks like this is what we're going to see more of this. So we're going to see more of this, and we're definitely seeing more of this. And it looks like this is going to continue, man. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there are rumors at least, and I say it time and time again, by the time I post this video, it's probably going to be official, whatever, right? You know, rumors or whatever, Mayweather and Logan Paul is going to come out and do something, and, you know, it's just, yeah, man. So we'll see what happens. Renee Box Young, thanks so much, man. Go ahead and comment in the, comment sections, you know what I'm saying, and let me know what you think. What's your opinion about this? Do you think that Dana White will actually, will he take legal action? Who knows, right? Is he speaking from a zealous perspective and really, and in the perspective of Jake Paul needs to respect the sport of boxing? Go ahead and comment in the comment section. Thank you so much, man. Renee Box Young, a platform where we simply discuss, critique, analyze, and simply talk about sport of boxing in a mature, level-headed fashion. If there are any new listeners, go ahead and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit the notification bell so you can check out, when I go live. I do flash lives. I go live constantly. And when I do these premieres in my videos. So thanks so much, Renee Box Young. Peace out. Stay safe, fam.